Welcome to another episode of the ClosersKlub. Today, I'm joined by Gaetano Morello. Gaetano is a real estate developer and also the founder of LevelUp Mastermind. It's a very influential mastermind here in the city of Boston and beyond. We got some members who are out of state that really focuses on connecting some of the best and brightest in the real estate industry. And Gaetano, thank you for joining me today.
Rob, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure, man. So as we kind of get this going, Gaetano, I always like to ask folks kind of about their origin story. Where were you born and raised, and how did you find your way into real estate along the way?
Yeah, so born and raised in Andover, Massachusetts. My family's been in real estate my entire life, so I was really brought up in the business. I sort of got my start when I was a teenager in the summers. My father owned some property out in Lynn. A lot of property that needed a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, sort of a management nightmare, honestly. But those summers, I would paint fences on the properties, help turn over the apartments, paint the units, clean windows, that sort of thing. So at a really early age, I learned, what value add meant in sort of improving these units, doing kitchen and bath renovations. So that was really the start. And it wasn't until college, when I was 18, that I got my real estate license. And that sort of springboarded, my entire career in real estate on a more professional level.
Nice, man. Nice. So when you got the license, what was kind of the first step? Was it doing rentals and kind of helping out with the family business? Was it doing sales? Because I know you had gone to school in New York and kind of, cut your teeth in real estate out there. So speak a little bit about that.
Yeah. So starting out, freshman year of college, got my real estate license. I was working in Alston for Remax, just hustling the rentals. It was a really fun experience. I started networking with people at Boston University where I was going to school and started renting them their apartments. That market starts to look at their September rentals in like March. So I would find, the fraternities, their frat houses, my friends in class. I would rent them apartments. I'd have back when Facebook was huge, my away or status message was looking for an apartment, contact Gaetano Morello. And I just kind of kept up with that. So I was doing rentals all throughout college. I studied entrepreneurship and finance undergrad. And when I got out of college, when I graduated, I worked for my family, High Street Properties. It was there where, we were looking at buying new multifamily properties, selling some of our portfolio, adding value to it. So I was really on the acquisition side there. But I also started to do some smaller development stuff in Cambridge and Somerville, kind of small projects, maybe max $1 million sellouts, $200,000 or $300,000 per unit. I was doing all the renovations just with Home Depot trips. Much different than what I do today. And then after 2 years, I decided that I wanted to, break out a little bit, and I moved to New York City. I went to NYU, the Shack program for real estate there.
Nice.
Where I got my master's degree, worked for Sotheby's when I was in New York as a broker. So I got a taste for, luxury real estate. I worked for the #1 sales team there. And, after 2 years of working in New York, I worked for a developer there, a retail developer in the Bronx, some hospitality, ultimately came back to Boston. And that's when I, kind of put everything together and started luxury brownstone development.
Excellent. Appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what luxury brownstone development does. So right now, I know you've got some very prestigious projects going on in the city, some really nice stuff from what I've seen online. I can't wait to see it in person, but speak a little bit about what you do today.
Yeah. So my focus is in the historic neighborhoods of Boston. So that's Beacon Hill, Back Bay, and South End. What we do is we find, very well located properties with good bones. Hopefully they have, parking or outdoor space, things that these buyers look for when they're buying a home. We completely gut the entire property. Essentially the only thing that we're keeping about the existing structure is the 4 brick walls. We go in there, we reframe it, we find the proper unit mix, and we do a insanely nice finish package, and then, put them on the market for sale. So, we've been lucky to have found, around 8 projects that we've been able to put our stamp on, and they're a lot of fun, and they're beautiful.
Absolutely, man. I'm sure the end buyers really appreciate all the time and energy that goes into creating such a wonderful property.
Yeah, I think, there's a certain type of buyer that really gravitates towards the historic brownstone. I think you get the best of both worlds, because you get like the charm of Boston, but yet you get all the bells and whistles and everything new inside. I nerd out on this historic architecture. So whenever I can find a building that was built in like the early 1900s or even late 1800s, I just think it's such an amazing opportunity to, bring it back up to the 21st century and do something special with it.
Absolutely. You're retaining a lot of the original character and charm on the exterior with the touches of what today's buyer needs, to really create a great environment for them and their families.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with that comes a whole slew of red tape with historic landmarks and managing all those meetings and dealing with neighbors. But it's become fun. I enjoy the challenge. We have a great team, and each project has its set of challenges. But we've been fortunate to have a lot of good luck and good talent.
Love it, Gaetano. And what would be the average sellout for some of these properties? Just so people kind of get an idea of the types of brownstones we're speaking about.
Yeah, so it depends on the size of the building, but I would say anywhere from sort of, 5 million to 15 million, depending on the size of the building.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we're talking top of the top here in the city of Boston, man, when it comes to these single family brownstones. Yeah, no, I commend you for having the discipline and finding a way to navigate it, because it's a very competitive landscape, at that level, man. So definitely want to give you credit for that.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the problem with these old buildings. There's only so many of them.
Right.
There's like no supply. There's a lot of people going after them. So you really have to sort of find your competitive edge somehow and create margin, because, there's no, entitlement upside, obviously, because you can't increase the building envelope. So you really just have to, get creative on creating value.
Absolutely. And how do you source these deals, Gaetano? Because there's many different ways, right? We talked about prospecting, a lot of stuff we do outside of the city, in the suburbs, cold calling, direct mail, and those things. But in a city like Boston, where everyone's vying for those properties, like what do you think has been the key to your success at successfully sourcing deals?
It's all about relationships. So it's either your relationships with the brokerage community, people that trust you and know that you're someone who's, going to execute and that you're reliable. I think, those brokerage relationships are so important, because they'll come to you first before it hits the market. And on top of that, just relationships within the area that you work. So a lot of times, the neighbors who showed up to those meetings, will approach me and say, hey, I'm thinking of selling, or, someone down the street is thinking of selling. So sometimes there aren't even brokers involved, but it's important just to keep a good reputation, foster good relationships. And that's how I get most of my deals. It's rare that they'll come on MLS. Yep. Because as you know, once they're on market, it's like
the frenzy begins, man.
Yeah. It's challenging.
Cool. Speaking about relationships, man, I definitely want to kind of jump into LevelUp. I am a member of LevelUp Mastermind. I'm really grateful to be a part of the group, Gaetano, and just kind of want to let you speak on what LevelUp is, why you founded it, and kind of speak on the impact that you see it having.
Yeah, absolutely. I've shared this before, but growing up, my father always told me, and, he was someone who, didn't go to college, but, did very well for himself. He said, always surround yourself with people who make up for your weaknesses. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room, but you need to know how to connect the dots. So when I heard that, I was thinking to myself, what if I brought together a group of real estate professionals with their own superpowers, their own unique skill sets that could come together under one mission to help each other succeed. So, in that vein, LevelUp has been, really a container for people to share ideas, share resources, help each other grow. so that you can fill in the gaps and connect the dots and grow your business. It's been phenomenal. I'm, a constant learner, continuous learner. I like to surround myself with people who are up early, ambitious, hungry, always working on themselves. And when you're surrounded by a community like that, there's almost like a tangible energy, like force that you feel like you're a part of. And, you all rise to the top. So just having that weekly cadence, that meeting once a week to check in with people, set goals, hold each other accountable, bring in guest speakers has been, tremendously important for me.
Yeah, and also impactful for me and the other members. As I've gotten to know folks through the one-on-one meetings and our weekly meetings, we've started to gain a trust. We've done business together, and I think one of the big struggles with being an entrepreneur is accountability when you're out here on your own. So it's been very powerful for me to have accountability partners, and I really commend you for bringing that component to this, because I think that really allows everyone to consistently elevate their game. Because it's one thing if you kind of slack off and you're like, I'll get back to it next week, but it's another thing when you have a meeting coming up and folks are gonna ask like, hey Rob, how you making out with your goals this quarter, right? And we're all scored and we're trying to win, right? It's a friendly competition, but like having that piece of it, man, I think really instilled a huge bit of responsibility even within myself to elevate my game. So how did you come up with that?
Yeah, and Rob, you've been doing fantastic. I mean, you're one of the strongest members in the group and so charismatic, and we're so lucky to have you. So
I appreciate it, man.
Rob's been a captain of many teams, hold a lot of people accountable, and a lot of people see him as a mentor in the group. So just want to say that.
Thank you.
I came up with it. I did a leadership training program. I think I had turned 30 at the time, and I was going deal to deal, but I really wanted a little more purpose in my life. I wanted to figure out, there had to be something else from just going from one deal to the next. And, after this training, they encouraged the people within the group to get out of their comfort zone and try something that scared them a little bit. And for me, that was stepping into leadership. And I decided I'm going to host a virtual call, bring in, 6 to 8 people who I really respect in the industry. We're just going to talk about what's going on in our business, what we're challenged by, and how we can support one another. This was pre-pandemic, before virtual really even took off. And it just had teeth, and like people loved it. And it got more formal every quarter. And then it became, an official mastermind group. And, I'm just constantly receiving feedback and trying to beta test different things and improve. And, now 4.5 years later, we have 61 members, an incredible group, and it just sort of snowballed from there.
No, I love that. So you let it really kind of grow organically by listening to the feedback from kind of each iteration of membership, and you're consistently doing that, which I think is the key for anyone looking to scale their business or scale a group. It's listening and giving the people what they need, and I think you've done that really well.
Thank you. Yeah, and it also takes a lot of time. You got to be patient, because, it was like bringing on a couple members every quarter and listening to feedback and adapting and changing. And I don't think it could have happened if we tried to do it fast.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, another big piece of being a part of LevelUp that I've gained is over the years in real estate, we always are referring clients to attorneys or lenders or brokers or realtors or whoever it is within the space, because it takes a team to get these deals done. And, prior to joining LevelUp, I had built a pretty good network of folks around me, but this is like your network on steroids. And one of the things I've spoken to about a lot of the members is we know that if we refer someone to someone in the group, they're going to get the best service. And that's huge. I mean, I think that can't be understated, because there's so many people out here who talk the talk, but you really need to find people who can walk the walk. And that's really probably been one of the second biggest thing outside of accountability for me that's really helped my business.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, anyone who's waking up at, 6 a.m. to jump on a networking call every week is someone you can rely on. And also, having that weekly cadence and seeing those same people and going to the events, you form friendships, right? So they're people like and trust. And that is who we all want to do business with. So I'm really happy to hear that you confide in the members for your deals.
Absolutely. And it also helps us look good, right? When we have someone we work with and you can build a team around that client or customer to really ensure that they're satisfied, man. It just, like I said, it's really changed my business, Gaetano. And I want to thank you for, having the courage to set this up and kind of taking that leap of faith. Was there any fear initially when you did this? Were you nervous about it and how it was going to work out, or speak a little bit about that?
I'm still nervous. I'm always like, is this call topic going to land, or are they going to think this is weird, or like we've had some crazy speakers. We've had like astrologists come on and talk to us about mindset, relationship coaches, and it's so much more than just business, right? Which is why I love it. We obviously have some incredible real estate tycoons and all that come on to speak with us, but it's a success is 360, health, wealth, relationships, all that. So I have fear when I lean into some of those more vulnerable topics with the group, but it always ends off paying off.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the journaling workshop that you led. It was good, man. It was really good. I don't know if anyone gave you feedback, but I really appreciate it because it really forced us to kind of reflect on where we are now, where we want to go, and how we're going to get there. And I think, no matter, how that happens, and I think it was a little challenging for me because we had to be vulnerable in our small groups with each other, right?
Yeah.
We had to kind of put ourselves out there, kind of put our goals and dreams and aspirations out there. And, you created an environment where I feel comfortable doing that. But otherwise, we kind of just keep that stuff to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, just getting out of your comfort zone, and that's what it's all about. That's where the growth is. So.
Yeah, so what would you say, Gaetano, is your key for overcoming fear? Like, how do you kind of lean in and continue to move despite it? Any strategies that come to mind, or is it just kind of just take that step and hope it works out?
Yeah, I think having a powerful vision, or like something that you can refer back to that reminds you why you're doing this, like the bigger picture is great. And then just on a more like practical level, I think just like getting reps in and what something that is out of your comfort zone one day becomes your new norm the next. So the more you do it and the more you practice it, the more it becomes comfortable and the less you fear it.
Got it. Do you think that mentorship has played a huge role to date in your ability to succeed and really, scale, multiple ventures, multiple opportunities that you've endeavored on?
Absolutely. I've had some great mentors throughout my career, starting with my father. He's just, very intelligent guy, has given me some great advice. Also, a lot of the folks that I had worked with throughout my career. But I look at mentorship now more like on a lateral scale. I think when people think of mentorship, they're always looking for someone who, they want to follow in their footsteps. And sometimes it's hard to get on that person's schedule and set up meetings with them, but your mentors in a lot of ways can also be like the people around you who are your contemporaries, because again, it's about connecting the dots and filling those gaps. So it's about what you don't know that someone else may bring to the table, and not necessarily someone who's 20 years ahead of you in their career, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I have a story with one of my clients when I was just starting my career as a real estate agent. I really didn't know much, guys, and I had a great listing that got a lot of attention on Zillow. And this one guy was just so persistent. At the time, he was living in Hawaii, and he just kept calling me like, "I want this house. I'm gonna get it." Like, it was just one of those things. Like, is this guy crazy? But ultimately, he's one of those folks that once they know what they want, they're gonna go after it with everything they got to make it happen. And he's a little older than me, but at the end of the day, he and I just started talking consistently, and I became his local realtor here as he was overseas, between the Middle East and Hawaii for his job. And over time, I just learned so much from helping him on his deals, right? It wasn't something we said, "Rob, I'm going to mentor you." I didn't ask him to mentor me, but just through him kind of filling those gaps in, early on in my career, on the process, on how to evaluate deals, on how to manage a project, just kind of being his eyes and ears for him while he was away was invaluable to me. So that's a great point you bring up. It's not, I think, in a lot of people's minds, mentorship the way they think. Like, you got to go find, some guru or some guy who's a billionaire to kind of take you under their wing and show you the way. It's just many ways to get mentorship for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure he learned a lot from you as well, so it's definitely a two-way street.
True.
Yeah.
No, and to this day, I mean, I just talked to him yesterday, man. He's become a friend, right? I think that's one of the things that happens naturally in business. Some of your clients and people you work with on a consistent basis, as the chemistry grows and the trust grows, you become friends.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, over time. So, no, and something else, Gaetano, I definitely want to recognize with the networking and mentorship pieces, because I think they work hand in hand. With the way you've structured Level Up. I feel like we all have access to each other's networks extensively, right, outside of the group as well. And I think that's something, I don't know if that was intentional, but, that's really been helpful. I've met good friends that have come through kind of, meeting folks in the group and then meeting their friends. And it just kind of snowballs into just a great network of folks who can grow together, work together. Have you seen that to be the case for you as well?
Absolutely. I think it just starts with when we're looking at new members, just looking for people who are good people and want to support others and want to see each other grow. I think the notion of like keeping all your contacts to yourself and, close to your chest and all that, I feel like that was sort of something for past generations. I think the new generation is more about collaborating with each other, adding value, and understanding that, the more you give, the more you ultimately will receive. Those are the type of people I want to do business with, not the people who are like withholding contacts out of fear, but, people who have the confidence to know that, if I share this contact, it's going to come back to me down the road. And then I think that's an important piece of the mindset that we all share at Level Up.
Absolutely, man. So what's your long-term vision for Level Up, Gaetano? Obviously, it's grown to 61. Is the goal to have multiple chapters? Is it to grow to 100, 200? Or are you just kind of taking it step by step?
Just taking it quarter by quarter and just making sure we always bring in the right people and never at the expense of the quality of the experience. We've had a lot of traction in South Florida right now, so I could see there being a South Florida chapter. I think that could be cool. There's definitely runway to expand into different industries too. We're doing a collaboration with Crew end of February, which is a venture capital mastermind for founders. So I think just kind of like exploring different industries could be a cool growth pattern, but nothing like specific, just kind of taking it quarter by quarter. I mean, in a lot of ways, this mastermind is a tool that I use for myself. So it's so important to me that it's run well with the right people and doesn't grow too fast.
I love that because, a lot of times people will speak about these grand visions and, there's going to 1,000 members and we're taking over the world, right? But it's at the expense of something that is very special, is when the organizations are smaller. And so I do really appreciate that you have that perspective on growth with it, where it's really first and foremost about the experience of the members. And then from there, wherever that can lead and however that can scale, I think, that's very thoughtful and it'll continue to bring a ton of value for everyone who's a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But, in that vein, we are looking for new members. So if somebody is interested in what, they've heard today, please reach out. We'd love to consider you for membership.
Excellent, man. So what's next for you, Gaetano, as far as your real estate career, as you buy up all the brownstones in Back Bay and Beacon Hill? Are you going to expand into the other markets, or are you primarily going to continue to focus in the city?
Yeah, I mean, if there comes a point in time where I can't find any more brownstones, I'm going to need to look further outside the city. But right now, that's my focus. I want to continue doing it. I love that. It's sort of my niche. So I'd love to tap into the hospitality space at some point, whether that's hotels or some larger ground up development. I'm working on building a brand with high street development. So it'd be exciting to see where that goes down the road.
Love that, man. So you'd stay in the city focused, but kind of scaling within the city limits.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to stay in sort of prime locations. So we'll see. I'm always looking for deals. So if anyone has any deals, send them my way.
That was the next piece here. So how can folks connect with you? If people have deals, if people are interested in learning more about Level Up, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can follow me at Real Estate Boss. That's with one S. Our development company is at High Street Development, and the mastermind is at levelup_mastermind. Or, you can shoot me an email. It's Gaetano at highstreetdev.com.
Love it, man. Well, I really want to recognize you again, Gaetano, for being an amazing businessman, someone who's having a massive impact not only on the business side, but in people's personal lives as we're all out here trying to grow and become the best versions of ourselves. And I commend you for having the courage to kind of step out there and create Level Up and put yourself out there and have an amazing impact on myself and so many others, man. And thanks for coming on the show today.
Rob, thank you so much. This was awesome. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
Excellent. Good stuff, man.
All right.
That's a wrap.